almost as deep as the river itself, it dammed up a considerable amount of water. 4 25-ton anchors were placed in the bottom of the river, and 3 powerful tugs were positioned to pull against the anchors, hauling the tube back if it drifted too far downstream. As each consecutive tube was sunk, divers fastened them together with huge steel lug pins. When all of the tubes were locked together, divers placed steel forms around the joints and poured a collar of tremie concrete. The tubes were then covered over with between 5 and 20 feet of backfill clay. Meanwhile, the third type of tunneling process, known as the shield-driven section, was slowly inching its way toward the underwater tube section already in place. The shield-driven sections began in a shaft near the end of the excavated land approaches and extended 30 feet beyond the harbor line. The shield used for boring through the earth was the largest in North America at the time, 32 feet in diameter and over 15 feet long. The progress of the shield as it inched its way through the earth resembled a giant mole. A gang of workmen, known as muckers or sandhogs, dug ahead of the shield, slicing away the clay with manually operated knives, then passing it back through the shield to others who moved it on little hopper cars to the surface. As soon as the muckers excavated a few feet in front of the equipment, the shield was forced ahead. Hydraulic jacks pushed the shield ahead 2.5 feet at a time. This was known as the shove. A series of airlocks maintained high air pressure inside the steel ring structure. The high pressure kept out the water. As the shield advanced forward, workmen poured the concrete for the interior walls and the roadway. Eventually, the big day arrived when the shield-driven sections made contact with the buried tunnel tubes. Incredibly, there was less than 1 inch of error. The bulkheads were torn down and the finishing work began.
So they only had to adjust for 1 inch to connect.
The roadway was paved with 2 million granite blocks, and the walls were tiled with over 200,000 enameled porcelain tiles. In addition to the tunnel itself, about 25 buildings were constructed at either end. Facilities for customs and immigration inspection areas were provided. Toll booths were built, and among the original buildings still standing are 2 large ventilation towers which house huge fans that continuously blow fresh air into the tunnel and extract stale air and exhaust fumes. These fans are capable of completely changing the air in the tunnel every 90 seconds. On November 1st, 1930, crowds gathered on both sides of the river to officially dedicate the new tunnel. The mayors of Windsor and Detroit made speeches, and President Herbert Hoover pressed a button from the White House, sounding gongs and signaling the start of a fireworks display. The crowds joined in choruses of 2 nations as Detroit and Windsor radio stations broadcast news of the tunnel's completion to hundreds of people across North America. Today, the tunnel looks much like it did when it first opened in 1930. But the Detroit end of the tunnel has been modernized and enlarged, and work has begun inside the tunnel to completely replace with new tiles the original porcelain enamel tiling on the walls. As it has for more than 50 years, the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel plays an important role in bringing good neighbors closer together and in providing new economic and travel opportunities for people on both sides of the river. Next time you enter the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel, take a few moments to recall the mammoth effort and the millions of dollars it took to construct the tunnel. You can take pride in knowing that the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel was the first and to this day is still the only underwater vehicle tunnel that connects two great cities and two great countries.